Today, I decided I'm going to try to freeze dry some of my sourdough starter. I have never done this. I don't know if it's going to work, but we're going to try it. I'm going to freeze dry it, rehydrate it, feed it, and make bread out of it, and we'll see if it works. So I'm putting the parchment paper down because I feel like the starter, of course, is sticky, and I don't want to make a big mess. I don't know if it's going to stick to the pans or not. So I'm going to try this, and I will be honest and tell you I do not personally care for putting it down on the pans. It's aggravating. If you went and bought they sell some parchment paper, especially cut to fit on your pans and all that. But I'm not spending money on that. I will just struggle through it, okay? And anyway, so that's what we're gonna do. If it works, the next time I'll put them in my silicone trays. But I didn't really want to go through all that trouble today, not knowing if this is going to work or not. Then my starter, it rose about halfway up here. It's pretty active. I'm going to put that on there. And of course, I'm going to leave some of the starter in my container, just like after I make bread, because oh my gosh, what if it doesn't work and I kill it all? Okay, and I didn't put a whole lot on here. I try to spread it out as good as I can. The thinner, probably the quicker it's going to freeze dry. And I'm going to pop these in my upright freezer in here, and then in the morning I'll stick them in my freeze dryer, because it is like 5:30 in the afternoon, so I'll just let them freeze overnight. I personally like to freeze everything before I put it in the freeze dryer. I feel like my freezer is already running, using up electricity, so I mean, the freeze dryer is still going to run its freezing cycle, but it cuts down on that, I think. And if it doesn't matter, because that's what I think. Okay, and that's all I have today. What I'll do is put these, you can't see in that cabinet. Let's see. Okay, so I'll use my same little pizza savers that I use in my other freeze drying videos. I think I got like 100 of these off Amazon for, I don't know, a couple dollars, but it could have been more. You know how you forget those things. But anyways, I'm just going to stack them and put them in my freezer. Okay, so they're stacked. I'm going to put them in the freezer. I don't think I need to show you that. You know how things look when they go in the freezer. And tomorrow, I'll slip them in the freeze dryer, turn them on, and we'll see. Okay, I have the frozen sourdough starter, frozen 4 pans, and put those in my freeze dryer. And I'm going to customize to dry temperature 90 degrees. That's what I'm putting it on, and no extra freeze time. Okay, and that's it. I will bring you back after the process is over, and we'll see how it freeze dried. Okay, we back at the freeze dryer. This is the freeze dried starter. And I'm going to put it in a bowl and crush it up and get it in a mason jar. Yep, this feels really dry. It says that it went 27 hours, which is longer than I thought it would go, really. But I guess it's so dense. This is the freeze-dried sourdough starter. I do have my door open because it got hot in here. I did not cut my air on because we've had cold days, and the last day or two has been hot. I walked in here and it was hot. So anyway, yes, freeze-dried sourdough starter. This is it. And we will rehydrate it and make some bread out of it, and we'll see if it works. All right, so the freeze-dried sourdough starter, I decided to go ahead and grind it up so it won't take up as much room. And I think I don't have my microphone. All right, so I didn't have the microphone on, and I went to get it, and I forgot to turn the video back on while I ground up the rest of this. And I wouldn't even include that, but I did want you to see what it was like before and what it's like now. So anyway, it's super fine. And I only did this one reason, so it would take up less space for storage. And another reason, I think it's going to rehydrate better if it's a fine powder. So I'm going to put 2 tablespoons, maybe. Yes, I'm going to put 2 tablespoons. They weren't flat, just tablespoons, so I wasn't picky about it. And we're going to put 2 tablespoons of water and see what that looks like. And you could measure, when you freeze dry your starter, measure your pan and before and after you freeze dry it and figure out how much water you need to add like that if you want to be really exact. But I don't think that's going to be necessary. And that looks really like a good consistency to me. We're going to leave this and see what happens. I will bring y'all back. Okay, so it's rehydrated for a while. Nothing going on there. So what I'm going to do is feed it a little flour and a little water. Let it sit and let's see if it gets active. All right. Okay, so let's put like 14 grams of water, 14 grams of flour, and we're going to leave this, stir this up, and we're going to leave it and see if it gets active in just a bit. I have seen a few bubbles in here. This is the next day, by the way. Last night, I did feed it one more time. I just did a tablespoon of flour and a tablespoon of water. Now this morning, I'm going to feed it again. I'm going to feed it about 2 tablespoons of flour and 2 tablespoons of water. Okay, now I'm going to put this, once it's mixed up, I'm going to put it in the oven with the light on and see if a little heat makes it a little more active. Like I said, I've seen a couple bubbles, but not like you'd want to see. You want to see it more active than that. All right, I'll bring y'all back in a few hours. So it is a little bubbly. I fed it this morning that would have been a 3rd time. And it is bubbly, but not as active as I would want it to make bread. So I'm going to leave it on the counter until in the morning. Then I'm going to feed it again like I'm feeding it to make bread. And we're going to see what it does. Okay, so not sure what day we're on at this point. I think we're on day 3. So I'm going to put the starter into this bigger container. See how much I have there. 110 grams. I'm going to feed it just like I would if I were making bread. And then I'm going to mix it up. And I'll let it sit and see if it gets active. And this will be for this experiment, the last little thing I do with it. If this doesn't work, then I'll try again with some more of the freeze-dried starter. Okay, so I got up this morning and I'm not going to lie, I was losing hope with this freeze-dried starter. But anyway, I had the lid on this kind of tight and I went to take it off. I could, of course, tell it was active. I was super excited and didn't think to put it in a bowl. But anyway, I wanted to show y'all it is active. So I'm going to put it over here in this bowl, and then I'm coming back in just a few minutes to mix up the bread. So excited. So I have my super active starter here, which I was beginning to think was not going to work. But so excited. That's why when I put it in here, I was like, well, that's a lot in that jar. But honestly, deep down, I was like, this thing is not going to get active. So anyway, I'm going to mix up my bread. I'm going to mix up the bread. I'm not going to go through all that on here. There's another video where I make the same recipe. I can link it at the end of this video if you're interested in that. But we're going to mix this up and we're going to see if it bakes. All right, we have it mixed up. Now I'm going to let it rise. I'll bring you back and we'll see what kind of bread this makes. I'm excited. My afternoon got a little busier than expected, but the bread did rise nicely. I made loaves, stuck it in the oven with the light on, let it rise, and then baked it that night for supper. It's the next morning. I did bake the bread yesterday, last night actually, about supper time. So anyway, I couldn't really video. My family was in here. They were ready to eat supper. But this is one of the loaves, and it turned out great. It must have turned out really good because this is the other loaf. That's all that's left. So anyway, freeze drying the sourdough starter was a success. And I'm just so excited that it worked out. Now I can share that starter much more easily. Well, thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.